Joining us this morning, Mitt Romney's surrogate, the former governor of New Hampshire, John Sununu. Nice to see you, sir. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you very much.
Walk me through that.
It's good to be here.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Why the birther thing? I mean, I'm going to make an assumption that you don't
I don't know.
agree with
Why
Donald
is
Trump.
CNN so fixated on this?
Well,
why don't we talk about the jobs issue in this country?
Sure, and we're going to get to that in a moment, but let's start with this.
And the disastrous. It's CNN that wants to bring it up. I don't want to bring it up. Mitt Romney has made it clear. Mitt Romney has made it clear that he believes that President Obama was born in the U.S. You had Donald Trump on last night, and now you are asking the question this morning.
Well,
it's CNN's fixation.
So you don't think it's a valid question to ask if someone who is posing as a supporter / surrogate at a high level, Donald Trump isn't your random supporter, he's a high-level big funder, has talked about how much money in the millions of dollars that he's thinking about donating to the campaign. You don't think that that's a big deal, that that person consistently talks about the fact that he believes the President of the United States is not a citizen of the country?
I think it's as equivalent an issue as Bill Maher, who gave $1 million to President Obama, talking with such a foul mouth about women. But you can't pick your supporters in this country. The fact is that this country has a jobs problem, and supporters of the president, like CNN, keep wanting to talk about other issues.
You know what's interesting? Every time you ask anybody a hard question, they suddenly go to this, well, you must be supporting.
This isn't a hard question. This is an easy question. Mitt Romney has made it clear he believes the President of the United States was born in the United States. Now we can talk about the big issues in this country.
So let me ask a follow-up
24 million people unemployed and 24 million people underemployed.
Which I agree with you on that front. And we're going to get to that in 1 second. But before we get to that, I want to ask you, why does Mitt Romney not go further? For example, as I'm sure you have seen many times, when John McCain was posed a question by a woman who asked him a question, not only did he say, here's my position, he said to her, let me correct you. So I'm going to play that clip for you first.
Aren't you embarrassed to be speaking directly from the Obama speaking points that they distributed yesterday? Aren't you embarrassed to sound exactly like the Obama spokesman talking about John McCain? This is ridiculous.
This is a clip that we have played before.
You should be embarrassed.
Many times. It's a conversation that's been
had. Come on. Let's talk jobs. Let's talk jobs.
Is that because you don't want to talk about the fact that a major fundraiser is a issue?
It's not an issue. There is nobody in the Romney campaign that believes that the president was not born in the United States.
So then how come someone doesn't say, Donald Trump is wrong? And we're going to tell Donald Trump
is wrong. The president was born in the United States.
That, I think, might be the first time. Well, thank you.
No, it isn't, ma'am. No, it isn't. It's just because you don't read enough that you don't understand that. Let's go to the issue.
There is no need to get into personal attacks. There is no need for it. We can move on.
I'm not getting into personal attacks. I'm talking about the fact that you have a fixation
of asking questions when someone who is clearly a birther is a representative.
You did it last night with
I was sleeping last night.
And you opened the show today with Donald Trump.
That's what I was doing last night. So I did not do anything but sleeping last night because I go to bed early. Let's move on to talk about the economy.
The fact is this country's got a job problem. It has a president that doesn't understand how to solve the job problem, and it has a president that keeps passing laws that kill jobs in America. Let's talk about that.
All right, let's talk about that. For example, when I talked to Andrea Saul yesterday, she was telling me that she believes that the governor's record in the state of Massachusetts is a great example for what he's going to be able to do in this country. When you look at some of the statistics, actually, the jobs that he was able to create didn't really compare with the other job creation from around the country. Do you think that, in fact, is going to be something that he's going to want to rely on?
I think he will, because the reason that it was so tough to create additional jobs in Massachusetts is that the unemployment rate there was about 4.5%. 4.5% compared to President Obama's 8.2% is a superb differential.
Let's talk a little bit about the distraction of what is happening between these conversations about birthers and getting to the economy. Have you found that this conversation has distracted the governor?
No, I think it's an effort by the Obama administration not to talk about the laws they passed that are strangling specific segments of the American job market. We have in New Hampshire and Massachusetts up here a great medical device industry. The Obama administration puts a tax on it about 43,000 jobs can leave the country, and it just shows how dumb those policies are, that you impose a tax, the jobs leave, you don't get the revenue, and you've lost the jobs. That kind of lack of smarts is typical of what the Obama administration has been doing.
Hang on for a second there, Governor. I want to talk to Ron Brownstein for a second.
Well, I think one question here is that Governor Sununu was involved personally in negotiating an increase in taxes in 1990 as part of a balanced approach of tax increases and budget cuts to reduce the deficit. Bill Clinton then raised taxes again in 1993, and the economy gained 23 million jobs through the 1990s. 10 years after the Bush tax cuts were passed in 2001, there were fewer people working than on the day they were passed. So why, when you look at that record, why are taxes and federal decisions on taxation the key variable in determining economic growth?
Most important thing about that agreement was that there was 5 times as much cuts in spending as there was changes in revenue, and most of the changes in revenue were consumption taxes. So the fact is that was an inspiration to the economy to create some jobs. But the second thing that
agreement raised the top marginal tax rate on highest earners.
You asked me a question. The second thing that did was put together budgeting rules that allowed this country to move into a surplus, and the marginal rate that was increased on upper earners was balanced by a reduction in what was a bubble rate, an actually higher rate for middle-class taxpayers. So we reduced the tax rate for middle-class taxpayers, even though it extended out to the marginal rate for the higher income people. The fact is what we need in this country today is to stop abusive legislation like Dodd-Frank that is strangling the community banks, which is the source of funds for small businesses to increase jobs. But this president is proud of Dodd-Frank's, and therefore he doesn't understand that he's killing jobs with legislation that he likes to talk about.
Governor, I have a separate question for you, entirely changing gears. Margaret Hoover here. You know, it's been reported that you were actively involved in helping to change the primary system for Republicans from the proportional to the proportional voting that we ended up with this time from the system last time that allowed John McCain to really lock up the nomination by February in 2008. Looking back on it, having had the prolonged primary, the 20-plus debates, what many in the Republican Party think was a proportional system that led to a bit of a branding problem for the GOP. If you had to do it again, do you think we should go back to how we had it in 2008, or do you think this long system that allowed Mitt Romney to lock up the nomination just last night, the end of May, beginning of June, was a good thing?
He locked it up about a month ago, Margaret, and we know that.
Well, but the 1144...
What happened is more states were able to participate. The base got more energized. More Republicans have been focusing on this election early. And the fact is that in the long run, this will actually be a stronger process than one in which you wrap it up in February and then have to re-energize the base over the summer.
You do it again. 2016, same thing.
I think so. I think New Hampshire coming first, followed by South Carolina, and with Iowa participating in there, and the Nevada caucuses at the front end, gave everybody a chance to get a good start. And the price of having that good start was to have some proportionality that allowed other states to be significant.
Or maybe we can see how it all turns out. Governor John Sununu, nice to see you as always. We love sparring with you first thing in the morning.
It wakes us both up.
It certainly does, doesn't it? I feel like I need to go out and have a drink now. All right, let's get